So one function that we really have found positive through our client base is multiple sales orders and multiple purchase orders on invoice data entry and receipt of goods entry. So what that means is you can have 2 sales orders or 2 purchase orders. And when you do that entry, we'll take example of invoice data entry. We can apply multiple sales orders to one invoice. So it used to be a 1-to-1 relationship, only 1 sales order to 1 invoice. Now you can actually do multiple sales orders. I don't know that there's a limit. I'm not sure if I've heard a limit, Dave, but I mean,
Yeah,
we've done as many as 10 and in an example that I did the other day. So it's
yeah, and in the customer you're referring to, I think it was a big win for them because what they really wanted to do was almost generate a monthly invoice to their customer, right? So they would have orders come in all month. And at the end of the month, they'd want to invoice those individual orders, but then really present a single invoice to the customer. Well, we've had customers request that, and we had to do it through kind of like a statement, right? Because they're invoicing these separate, somehow aggregate them. This functionality allows us to just at the end of the month, pick all the orders for a single customer, and it'll put them on a single invoice. And then customers just presented with a single invoice and it gets paid as a single invoice. So really nice functionality. I think it's more applicable on the sales order side based on what we've seen, Jeremy. It is available on the PO side for receipt of goods and receipt of invoice. So if you have vendors that ship multiple POs on the same pack list, you can now aggregate. There are some rules around that. And, logical things like the ship on a sales order, the ship to needs to be the same, the FOB or the ship via needs to be the same. So logical things that, would indicate these actually should be invoiced together. Those are kind of the rules that determine which ones for an individual customer you can aggregate.
Yeah, so next one was using the current cost or the original cost when issuing a credit memo. I think you've had some experience with this, Dave. But
yeah. In previous versions, when you issued a credit memo through the sales order module, you would always apply it to an invoice, a previously posted invoice, and then it would literally just bring up a blank lines tab, and you had to pick the items that you were returning, and then it would always put them back into inventory at the then current cost of inventory. So like the then current average cost. So really what this functionality does is when you reference the invoice that you want to apply the credit memo to, it'll prompt you to recall the line items from invoice history so that you actually see what was on that original invoice. You can enter in by line item what you want to return, but it also then prompts you at what cost do you want to return those items into inventory at? And one of the options is the original cost on the invoice. So, if it was sold 2 months ago and, it was a FIFO item and it came out at a certain FIFO tier cost, it will put it back in at that cost. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but we had some customers with fluctuating costs and they never really were happy with kind of how the return process worked or the credit memo process worked. So for them, it's kind of a big one. And
got it. So one of our clients that was working on a lot of quotes and purging quotes out for is on this meeting. So this one will kind of come close to home. So this is under customer and inventory inquiry. There's an orders tab that you can see all the related sales orders that were under that customer or underneath that inventory item. But that window did not show quotes. So that is some new functionality that's in the system now. Is underneath that orders tab, you can now see quotes that are related to that customer and or inventory item. So it was kind of interesting that quotes got eliminated from that inquiry screen for whatever reason.
Yeah, now they've, like you said, they've added it over into inventory so that now you get some visibility into like potential future demand, even though a quote is obviously, you don't know if that's going to turn into an order, but you can at least get some feel as to how often that item has been quoted.
Yeah, and it certainly helps cleaning up those quotes so you kind of get that better looking picture. So get rid of expired quotes, and there's a great purge utility that make that happen. So last functionality is iShip was a partner with Sage for a long time, and their product got sunsetted. So what iShip did was you could put a tracking number on an order, and you could use that tracking number to, if a customer called in, you could pull up that order and you could click on a button and it would open up iShip and go out and put that tracking number in the website and show you what's happening with that package. And that's been replaced. Dave, what's it been replaced by? And
Well, a combination of things. So they've kind of programmed into the interface direct access into like UPS, USPS, FedEx, DHL, I think are kind of like native. And so, like Jeremy said, iShip used to handle that, and iShip like basically just, not sure exactly what happened. It just shut down one day, which means if you use this functionality inside of the Sage interface, it just stopped working. And so they had to, reprogram that functionality so that you've now got visibility of tracking on the major carriers. I'm not 100%. We need to dig in on this. I'm not 100. They claim they can track almost any carrier through Google. I'm not sure exactly how that functionality works, but it handles the major carriers that a lot of our customers ship with.